Yeah, story behind the NCS Telco Plus. It actually was established not too long ago. We're now 18 months old, and it was set up jointly with the Singtel Group and NCS to help the Singtel Group to become digital companies with telco assets. And we don't call it digital telco because we purposely want to make sure that we don't want to optimize the telco. We want the telco to become digital companies, a digital service provider. So, and we set it up in NCS, this initiative, because we are working across Asia Pacific, whereas of course Singtel Group is in Singapore, Australia, and then our associates. So NCS is a great platform with the capabilities in SI to really help this transformation. So that's the kind of the story behind it, and kind of unlike kind of a normal transformations where somebody comes and helps you from outside, we are helping from inside because we are part of the telco ecosystem. So we are kind of a telco business unit inside, and transforming from inside is very much easier than kind of getting an outsider to help you to transform. And with that, we are kind of building digital assets together, kind of with the group. And the uniqueness in the Telco Plus, of course, is that we get to co-own the IP. So when we are developing something with Singtel or something with Optus, we co-own, which enables us then to take it to Globe or AIS, and overall to Bridge Alliance. So our scope of work is Bridge Alliance. So we are an Asian, Middle Eastern player. So we are not reaching out to Europe or Americas or South America at all. But that's the reason of establishing Telco Plus. Everybody calls themselves Techo nowadays, which we have this digital company with telco assets. The challenge with the telcos now and becoming a digital company, so if you compare the digital natives and telcos, is the biggest difference is about the launching new services. So when an average telco in Bridge Alliance launches the service, the idea comes in their head that, hey, let's do this. It takes them 12 to 18 months to launch it. And if you look at an average launch time for a digital native company, it's 2-3 weeks when they go testing with the minimal viable product. And that's the kind of biggest barrier is the launch time. So telcos cannot react to the kind of market events that happen. And I call it shark fin effect. So something that event in the market that goes up very quickly and it drops dead. An example of that is if you remember Squid Games. So actually it was published October 21 and it was dead in May 22. So it lived less than a year. So none of the telcos could have reacted to do any offerings around the Squid Games because of the launch time that kind of is needed for that. And how do you kind of shorten the launch time? Is really decoupling your architecture, because telcos are like banks, so they've developed their stack over the past decades, not just a decade, but decades. So it's very monolithic, very static. So when you're building a new service, you need to do half a year of testing that, okay, if I put something new on top of this stack, where does it impact in my stack? Because it's highly complicated and it's a monolithic thing. So in order to fasten the kind of service introductions is to decouple it kind of horizontally, but also vertically over there. And that's the kind of one of the key things of becoming a digital company is this decoupling your architecture, which is a journey. It's not an easy thing to do. The other key thing for a telco to become a digital company is to liberate your data, because you need the data access. So we are talking about data fabric, creating a data fabric, or creating a digital twin of your systems, a side of your stack that you're able to access without accessing the old modules in the stack. So that brings you the speed at which you need to access some of the new services. It also kind of, with the decoupling, it is providing you APIs to access it, or new APIs, so that you don't have to go through the old stacks. So it's really decoupling and data, and to reduce the lead time and to be able to introduce new products, new services much more faster than any of the telcos unfortunately currently can. Driving growth beyond connectivity, I think this is kind of like, I don't know a telco who doesn't discuss about that. So it's very clear that the money you get out of the connectivity is continuing to reduce. So it's reduced in past 10 years 70% the amount of money you get from connectivity, and I don't see end to it. So the connectivity will get cheaper and cheaper, and gets more commoditized, and that's why creating this capability of being a digital company, which is that you need to have an architecture where you're able to add new services into it. So without that ability, there's no way you can earn money, except by selling your towers or monetizing some of your assets. You might be selling even your network, but taking that aside. So if you look at the B2C area, first of all, I think the telcos need to realize that they are not an ecosystem of me, that they are an ecosystem of the industry. So they need to define that, what is my place, for example, in the gaming ecosystem? So how do I participate in the gaming ecosystem so I can earn some of the money of that value chain that is happening in the gaming ecosystem? So the telcos need to realize that they cannot become gaming companies themselves, which is the ecosystem of me. So the gaming industry is dominated by the gaming companies. And the telcos need to find a way, how do they collaborate and how do they get this little piece out of that ecosystem. How do I use my data for the benefit of, for example, insurance companies or retailers or logistic companies, because telcos have a lot of data on the people movement. And also they have ability to predict where the people are in 1 hour's time or 2 hours time. If you look at, first of all, the historical data of the people movement and then predict, you can do predictions on going forward. But yet again, that's an ecosystem play. So you need to find your place in the ecosystem, that, okay, what's my role in the people mobility ecosystem? And okay, I want to be the provider of data for DHL, that where the best routes would be, because I see where people go over there, or to the local metro company to see that, okay, here's an event and it's closing, now people start to move from the event or stadium, okay, I need to put more underground traffic going on so I can do it. But it is about the kind of finding your right to play in an ecosystem. Then there's B2B, of course, and everybody, if you go outside and look at the hall over there, so everybody's talking about the Industry X and that thing, and that's a difficult market as well. So we kind of work together with some of the biggest telcos in China, and of course China is like 4 or 5 years ahead of rest of the planet in 5G. And the experience from China is that you really need thousands of these installations in order to make money in the Industry X cases. So there are very various cases, health, manufacturing, and even within manufacturing there are a number of cases. So you can't dominate any of those things. And what the kind of findings show that, for example, in China, the telco gets 17% of the whole value of an installation. That means that you need to be in a lot of installation to make money in B2B case. So it's yet again an ecosystem play. That what's your role in that ecosystem, because you're not a manufacturing expert. You're an expert in security of those IoT devices and connectivity and the connection to the cloud, but you're not a cloud provider either. So it's kind of all boils down to this kind of a thinking of that what's my right to play. The one common thing every telco has a right to play is that they are part of critical infrastructure of a nation. So for example, here in Thailand, AIS is critical for Thailand. So what could you think what your role would be, for example, in Thailand and thinking, for example, metaverse? So they can't dominate metaverse, so I don't believe it. It's going to be alpha, it's going to be the big guys that are going to come. Maybe South Korea Telecom has a chance with Ifland, but typically local telcos, they can't participate. But maybe they can participate in identity management. So let's say that you go and walk in the Ifland metaverse and you do something wrong there, because it could be an infringement of IPR, for example, that your Adidas shoe on your avatar is you didn't pay for the IPR. So somebody needs to come and punish you that you have a fake Adidas shoes. So the country that needs to track you down is Thailand. And the only instance that knows that the avatar belongs to you is a telco, because you used their connectivity to go to the Ifland. So for example, the AIS in Thailand could find a place in this metaverse in a horizontal, which is identity management of Thai nationals. So in order to make sure that that's provided as a service to Ifland, for example. So long answer for a very simple question, and I didn't bring any solution, except that this is it's a complex game. The money comes from multiple streams, and the money comes from the ecosystem. And our job in the industry is to figure out our right to play in the ecosystem, and then take our little slice on it and try to increase it.
Building the telco of the future? Introducing Telco Plus from NCS, your expert guide to the age of more.